Welcome to Love Where You Live, a space dedicated to exploring what it truly means to build a life you love, starting with the spaces we inhabit. I'm your host, Alyssa Celotto. As a real estate agent and former dietitian and wellness coach, I look at home as so much more than just a physical address. It's the foundation for our daily lives, where our physical environments, our communities, and our overall well-being converge. Whether you're navigating a major life transition, creating a physical sanctuary within your four walls, or looking for ways to bring more alignment into your day-to-day, you are in the right place. Are you ready? Let's go. I am here with Nicole Terrell. Thank you so much, Nicole, for taking some time to sit with me as we officially kick off this new little venture called Love Where You Live. I am very grateful to have you here. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Alyssa. It's such an honor to be here.
And we are going to chat about building community and creating sisterhood, which before we hit record, I did tell you, you are an answer to a prayer, because as I am slowly but surely putting episodes together here, I have thought, you know what, it feels like I'm reaching a lot for like the personal growth, the maybe more, I don't know, I love spiritual conversation, and I wanted to make sure that it doesn't turn out to be entirely just that, because as I described to you previously, loving where you live is more than just the house that we live in. It is the town and the city that we inhabit. It is the communities that we are part of, whether they are big or small. And of course, it is our body, which includes so many other aspects as well, you know, body, mind, soul. And so I am grateful that as we started here, you said that you want to talk about building community and creating sisterhood, because that is 100% an important piece that I am eager to hear other perspectives on. So thank you.
Yay. Well, I'm so glad. I mean, there's been times where I have hated where I've lived and times where I've loved it. And generally, the difference is who I'm surrounding myself with in those times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I remember before we had this conversation, you told me about how you were previously living in more of a city type area, and you had moved maybe like, 30 minutes away to a, how would you put it?
I would say the suburbs. I'm a suburbs girl through and through.
Okay. And you felt a lot better after the move, right?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of many things. I mean, it was after a divorce, and I had spent a lot of time in, you know, there's like you say about where you live is so many things. It was my entire sense of family and community was my ex's family, because my family, sadly, I don't have any left. And so I didn't have my own sense of family. We lived in smaller, older homes, which are typical of a bigger city. And the streets didn't feel as enjoyable to walk along, and all that kind of thing. And so I just remember feeling like, ugh, I just hate Utah. I don't want to live here anymore. If I could do anything, I would move to somewhere prettier, somewhere warmer, blah, blah, blah. Like I thought it was the place. And so then when I had to start my own life, I looked around the whole valley, and it was like, where do I want to go? And I found these beautiful neighborhoods with these beautiful walking trails. And that kind of kicked it off. And then from there, I started to make friendships and go to mommy groups and just build my overall sense of community. And I became more and more anchored into where I lived in a way that now I could not leave here, because I don't have to rebuild all of that and lose what I've built here.
Where did you feel like that was the thing that you had to start building?
I mean, it kind of came piece by piece, and I feel like it would be like little awarenesses. Like I finally got the courage to go take a dance class one day. And in that dance class, I started to go every week. I started to make some friends. I started to see, like, oh my gosh, there is a thriving dance community in Utah. Who would have ever known that if I hadn't gone to one dance class? And it's just like puzzle piece by puzzle piece, you start to get to know your town, but you have to get out and about in it. And, and it's been things like that. It's been finding little spiritual communities and going to breath work and ice baths and meeting people there. And slowly you weave this tapestry of the place you live that becomes like so a part of you that you feel tremendously grateful for it.
That just that definitely spoke to me because I don't know, maybe where I grew up also I had always felt like there's nothing to do. I don't know what to do. I mean, granted I was a kid at the time, right?
Right.
But maybe even as I had started my adult life, I still didn't really know what to do, what I wanted to do. Maybe that's kind of part of the problem that we don't know what it is that we want to do. How did you know that you wanted to go try a dance
Absolutely.
class?
Well, I will say, so I have a 25-year-old daughter, and she, not too long ago, she's started to settle down and found her partner, and she's had a baby now. So she's like anchoring in too. But not too long ago, she had the same view on Utah. Like, I am never going to settle down here. It's so boring here. There's nothing to do. And so I think we can really live in our little bubble of a life and think there's nothing to do until we go out looking and we realize. And so for me, my therapist had invited me to a breathwork event, and I went to the breathwork event. And from there, I got to know, like, oh my gosh, there's a bit of a thriving spiritual community here. I'd started to go to those more often. That was where I met someone from dance. And it's like you just pull at these threads
Hmm.
and integrate more into, and the more you go and try new things, the more you find the courage to try the other new things that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise even had the nerve to do. I mean, I think I spent my whole 20s telling my husband at the time that I wanted to go take a dance class, and I never had the nerve, and it was always like, oh well, he won't do it. And I just kind of like offloaded the responsibility for pursuing a desire I had to him, it wasn't it of his interest. But once I was on my own, I started just being in charge of doing the things I wanted to do. And it takes effort and it's scary. And yet your life opens up when you find the courage to do those things.
Yes. I like that you said that you're following the threads. I am curious if you could elaborate a little bit. You said that you were offloading. Um,
The responsibility. Yeah. I think that for many of us that aren't doing the things we want to do because maybe we're too scared to do them, it's easy to blame someone else. Maybe it's our husband, maybe it's that we don't have time, we've got kids or whatever. And so we just say, oh, I'll do it another day. Someday I'll do that thing. And we kind of offload the responsibility rather than like taking a
mm,
stand for it and being like, this is something I want to do. I'm going to make the time, I'm going to make it happen. And it's a lot easier to just make an excuse.
yes, and you are saying take a stand, and I love the mini audio course that you have created around taking a stand. We must feel very connected to that whole state of living, right? Taking a stand
Yeah.
for yourself.
I mean, all along my journey, it was something that I needed to learn to do, but I would say I'm still learning it even now, day in and day out. It's like if I want to say something for myself or I want to assert a no, my first instinct is still to worry that someone else is going to feel bad by my no. And then I have to come back home to myself. And, I've since learned to take a stand, but throughout my 20s and 30s, I was just living trying to make sure nobody was unhappy around me. And
Mhm.
in my 40s, like I just feel like the whole world has opened up because I'm no longer living in service of everyone above myself. And I've had so many conversations with friends who feel the same way, who are like, oh, I don't want to go out on this date, but I don't want to make the person feel bad. Or, it's just like so much trying to cushion everyone else without actually owning our own feelings. And that's the same thing like with being a 25-year-old wanting to go dance and then saying, oh, but I don't have anyone to go with, so I
Yeah.
won't.
Do you think that that is probably something that women in their, let's say, approaching 40s or 40s and above are probably beginning to notice? Do you think that women in their young 20s are feeling ready to take a stand, or do you think that it's maybe something that speaks greater to the women in their 40s? I
I'm
find it really
super curious of
fascinating.
this. Yeah, no, I am very curious because I've heard a lot of midlife women be like, this is the time when you finally stop giving a crap what everybody else thinks. And I think we're also trying to be a light for the younger generations that we want to inspire. I mean, I would like to see my daughter take a stand for herself, but she isn't going to know how to do that if I didn't learn how to do that. And
Hmm.
so I think that the tides are changing in that area, but I do think that there's a special extra ingredient in midlife that like helps you finally have the courage to do so in a really
Right.
powerful way.
Well, I think there's also been something that you said in one of your recordings. I don't know if it's specifically take a stand or if it's in your full mini course, The Audacity to Take Up Space, but it's where you mention that after so many times that you're basically abandoning yourself, like what you're describing, you're just kind of you're trying to keep the peace. You're no longer connected to your own personal desires, maybe out of fear or whatever it is. But at some point, it just gets freaking old. You know? Like I
Right.
just want to do the thing that I want to do without somebody making me feel any sort of way about it. Like if you're not there like saying yes, go do that because it makes you happy and that's what's going to make your life awesome, then go do that. If you're not cheering me on, then you know,
Exactly.
forget
Yeah,
it.
and totally. And like, I think that there became a point where I started getting tired of listening to myself asking people to tell me what I should do.
Mm,
Like, my gosh, girl, just make a decision. There's no
hmm.
right decision, but like there were so many times where I was asking somebody to tell me what to do to the point where even if I did do the thing that they finally said, okay, here's what I think you should do, and I would do it, I I couldn't own it, and therefore it didn't
Hmm.
stick. And so, you really have to make a decision for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Missing the connection. Yeah, somebody else telling you to go and do this and then it's just missing that oomph that you really do feel when you actually honor the thing that
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
deep down you do want to do. I mean, I want to say it's a little disappointing in some ways to hear like, oh, it'll hit around your 40s, I mean, I feel like in my 20s, early 30s, maybe I had been hearing these messages like how life will change when you're in this decade and that decade and I'm like, well, I don't want to wait that long, but I
Right.
suppose you're offering some hope also for younger generations where the tides are changing, as you said.
I think they are. I mean, I think I've seen my daughter be stronger in ways that I never could have been just naturally. And that has inspired me. But then at the same time, like she'll sometimes say things like, you're too old to be doing that. Like, I mean, for example,
Oh,
I'm 42. I have been a mother since I was 17. And so I started
wow.
going out with my friends to party, to stay out late, to do karaoke, all these things. And she'd say, "You're too old to be partying like this." And I'd be like, maybe we should check that because that's not true. Like, I'm a grown woman. I get to do what I want. And so it's like
Yeah.
there's an element of being younger where I feel like you almost feel like you're cringed out by people not following what they're supposed to follow based on their stage of life. But then at the same time, there are certain ways where they're owning themselves a little more. It's just a journey.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It is a journey, and something I just keep saying is people are people. We are all here to learn our own unique lessons and grow ultimately.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
let's dive a little bit deeper into this building a community, creating a support network. What really speaks to you? What is it that comes to mind when you think of building community and creating your own personal support network?
I mean, I think about how, like, for instance, I got married in 2017 for the second time, and we had just like immediate family there because we didn't really have a lot of people to gather. In the time since my divorce, I've built a friend group that has just like grown and grown, and it started out like just a few of us, but then each week we bring in more people. We now have like a 20-person group chat for when we're getting together each week. And one of our friends that has now been in the group for a couple of years, she invited us all to be in her wedding last year. She's in her 50s. She's been with this guy for 11, 14 years. I don't know. And I got to be a bridesmaid over 40. And it's like she had this big wedding and she just kept saying, "I can't believe how lucky I am. If I hadn't met you guys, I don't know who would have been at our wedding." And it kept getting
Wow.
bigger. And I think it's the same thing. I think the first 20, 15 years of my adulthood, I always wondered how people had friends, and I would watch shows like Friends,
Mm,
just living vicariously through them and wishing I had that.
yeah.
And then for me in particular, because I don't have family, my mom and my dad had passed away. I mean, my dad in 2022, but I didn't have family and I didn't have, much for friends. As I've been growing that, we all have to intentionally plan something every week. But now we've done family vacations together and we've done weddings together and we do weekly karaoke or Taco Tuesday. And it's an effort, but it's created a sense of family that I know I'm not growing old alone,
Mm.
and it's amazing.
There's a lot that comes up for me there as you describe that. I wonder, I guess I always go back to the origins of like, where did you initially notice that something needed to change? As I'm just asking that in my own mind as you're speaking, I'm like, well, she's got the audacity to take a stand for yourself. I would imagine that it has a lot to do with that. But I mean, that's a recent course that you've produced. I would imagine there was a lot to heal from because you're describing that you had a time in your life where you watched Friends and you would live vicariously through that show, and you had, yeah, no real life experience of that, unfortunately, which I can imagine
Yeah.
is very hard.
I mean, it's very hard, and I think it's more common than we realize too. And,
Mm,
some people just naturally have friends carry over from high school, or,
mhm,
perhaps they have like work friends. But I was a teen mom, high school dropout. I didn't have high school friends. I rarely could keep a job, so I didn't have work friends. And I just always kind of like TV at night with my partner was my social life. That was it. And so I always would watch it on TV and be like, I wonder, is that possible that people could really have a group of people they spend that much time with? It never felt possible to me. And so as it started to build, and funny enough, My friend Katie was like the OG of my friend group. I met her in the Boss Mom group, like in 2019. And we just were like, oh, you live in Utah? Me too. And we met for coffee. And then it just kind of like expanded. Husbands are now in the group. Like it's a large group, but it started with just the courage to meet up with a stranger for coffee.
Ah, yes, the courage, absolutely. I mean, that's certainly an ingredient then in evolving,
Yeah.
right? You can't evolve without it. If you do want
No,
to
I mean, there's,
experience life a little bit better, then yes, we should employ some courage.
hmm Yeah, there's definitely things that I've wanted to do that I haven't had the courage. And I always think it's funny what it is that like will keep me from doing it. And I just kind of witness it, but I'm like, I'll revisit at one point. Like there's this one thing, ecstatic dance. And for some reason I have driven to that, sat in the parking lot, chickened out and driven home. I've done that multiple times. I once had a friend come with me and I was able to do it. And yet I can't bring myself to go again by myself. And I'm like, dang it. Like,
That is
why is this
curious,
so
yeah.
scary for me?
I like to question if like is it a good thing or a bad thing, you know, because maybe it would be a little bit more fun with another person, right? Is that wrong?
It's true. Yeah, no, that's true.
And what is
Yeah,
it called? Ecstatic dance?
ecstatic dance. Yeah, it's like almost like kind of a daytime rave with no alcohol, no drugs, like just people dancing. I mean, it's a cool experience, but
Yeah, yeah,
it feels a little scary by myself.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just going to support you in that in saying that, yeah, I mean, it would be fun to experience with a friend, right? I mean,
Hmm Yeah. I mean, that's a
but
great
who
point. Like
knows?
maybe not everything is about being brave enough to do it by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, yeah, you want to be able to talk about how fun it was with the person that you experienced it with. I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess it's a question. That's all. No
Yeah.
clear conclusions here. We won't know until
Right.
you maybe go do it by yourself one day and then you can report back.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm, so ecstatic dance is off the table right now in terms of going dancing on your own. Do you do other forms that you are
I
a
mean, I've
little bit
gone
more open
country.
to?
Yeah, I've gone country dancing by myself. I've gone heels dancing by myself. That's a really cool vibe of ladies that hype each other up. And dancing is definitely my favorite thing to do.
How long have you
And
been doing that?
just a few years, like maybe not even 5 years. And I used to always be the girl that was just like, I don't dance.
Mm,
I just don't dance. It's not something I do. And when I finally discovered that I did, I realized it was a whole like trauma shutdown. Like I was so uninhabiting my body that I could not bring myself to dance. And then I was obsessed once I finally discovered it.
can you expand on that a little bit? Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, well, when I was little, I used to dance and I used to put on like dance shows for my dad. Like I would like choreograph a dance and then I don't know, somewhere along the way, I learned to reject my body so much that I was just afraid of being seen moving in a way that maybe wouldn't be flattering. Um, you
Where did
know,
that
of
come from? Do you feel like that had impact?
I yeah, I think there were a lot of factors and certainly like sexual trauma being one of them. The things that most young girls that grew up in the 90s heard about their bodies being one of them, being, told I looked fat when I was 100 pounds, that kind of thing. So I just got more and more disconnected over the years. And so then by the time I was an adult, if I would go dancing with friends or a neighbor, I would say, oh, well, I don't dance, but I'll just sit on the side and watch you. And it felt like that was my truth until I started to like heal and start to get to know myself. I realized it was scary to move in front of people, but it felt so
Hmm.
liberating.
Dance, from the perspective that I've had, has always seemed to be something that people like to make fun of others for. And like, yet
Hmm.
I don't know why we're expected to all be these professional type
Right.
dancers. It boggles
Yeah.
my mind. I do relate to the dance thing a lot. I would say I like dancing. I don't know that it's like the thing that I feel like I don't know if it's something that I gotta go and do. Maybe it will be someday. But I do remember, I when I had like just recently found out that I was pregnant with my oldest daughter and was too scared to tell anybody. I was not taking a stand for myself. I was not I had no audacity to take up space, and I kind of just got like pulled into this like charity event that was a disco.
Oh.
And I love disco music. I do. I think like there's just something about that beat. It speaks to my soul and it makes my body move with I
I feel
just
like the
can't help
music also
myself.
sparkles. It's like they have sparkles in their music. I
I
don't even know how.
I love that perspective. Now I'm always going to see sparkles every time I hear disco. But yeah, I didn't want to say that I was pregnant and couldn't drink because I felt that the only way that I could dance was if I was drinking. And
Mm.
so now I was just kind of like thrust into this place like, well, you can't tell them that you're pregnant and you can't drink, but you also don't want to seem weird for just standing here and not participating in anything. So you're going to have to go and dance. And that was actually, I'll say it was a gift because that's where I kind of started to tell myself that, like, everybody here is drinking. Like, who is paying attention to what your body is doing, and who gives a shit what they have to say
Mm.
anyway? So just just move, you know? So
Ooh, I
that
love
was
that.
that was my first experience with becoming comfortable dancing in front of other people without caring what anybody
Yeah.
else might think. I mean, I don't know. I'm having fun talking about this right now. And also, I'm sorry to be stealing all of the conversation at this moment.
Oh, it's one of my favorite topics. And actually when I started dancing more seriously, not like just meaning I wanted to like give more of my life to it and have
Yeah.
a little more fun. I realized if I'm going to keep getting better, I'm going to have to stop drinking when I dance because I get sloppier and sloppier. So I need to,
Oh.
if I'm going to, and so that's when I started going out to the country dance bars by myself. I'm not going to drink by myself and I just want to dance. And I started getting better because like I'm not, slurring with my movements.
That's very just very cool, Nicole. I'm excited by all of it. And actually, you know what? I do want to dance now.
You should. You should. I am sad to say that as we talk about this, I'm like, yeah, I haven't been dancing in a while and I really need to. So, you know,
Do you
this
find
year
that it
is the
is
year of, I just kind of put it on the back burner because I had a lot of personal stuff going on
mhm.
and it it got to the back burner, but I went to a rave with a girlfriend in March and we danced our hearts out and it was so fun. And so we're now like going to be rave buddies, as crazy as that sounds, and just get our dance on.
I love adult friendship because it does seem to be so much more meaningful, you know, when you think about like your friendships as a child. I mean, I can't say I had many either. I didn't have the Friends show type life, you know.
Right.
And so for the friends that I did have throughout my childhood and teenage years, um, yeah, I mean, they were most certainly so much more superficial and probably so much more riddled with fear of being seen, right? Like who
Hmm.
are to show myself who I really am. And I think that also goes hand in hand with knowing who you are as well. Like it's just such a
Yeah.
complex um complex situation, and I suppose it makes sense anyway, because that is probably a purpose of life, is to learn who you are, you know? Maybe
Right.
it's a gift to know at a young age. Um,
Hmm. But it's not the norm.
right. So the whole point in all of that is to say that adult friendships, I find them hilarious in the sense that, like, it just brings me so much joy with how intentional they can be, you know, so long as you are making them intentional. I think that's really the whole point there too. I mean, you could still have superficial friendships in your adulthood as well.
Yes. But, well, and I don't know if you saw the post that was circulating maybe like a month or so ago that was like, I think being in your midlife is just like being in your teens again, but loving her this time.
Mm,
And I feel like I'm butchering that statement, but it's I feel like that's what we're doing. We're allowed to play again, and we have more time and more understanding of how short life is. And so we're just out there
yeah.
playing. And like my girlfriends and I, we got memberships to the roller skating rink this summer, and
Oh my gosh, I love
like
that.
we're just playing out there playing. And
Oh,
that's the sisterhood community that makes me never want to leave where I live.
yeah. It sounds absolutely magical. Do you ever have an interest, or here's how I want to ask the question. How would you indulge the interest of seeing other parts of the world?
I
Or
mean,
is that an interest at all?
no, it's 100. Yeah, it's totally an interest. And I think it's something that, I've put on a back burner as a desire because often it feels out of reach. But I'm starting to kind of like step into that desire. Like, where are places that I'd want to see? My friend group also, like, we're talking about kind of branching out and doing more vacation type stuff just because karaoke every Tuesday is fun until you've been doing it for a year straight. And then it's like, okay, what else can we do?
That sounds
And
exciting.
yeah, I mean, I saw something recently, an article or something that was saying like that so many adult friendships, they get together to talk about the old days and like reminisce on old memories over and over. But if you're not making new memories, then you're missing out on like continued deepening. And that really resonated. And it's got me thinking about like, what are some new things that we can experience together? Not just with my friends, but with my kids, with myself, like just getting out of routine and seeing what else there is to see in the world.
Mm. I can see that that's a responsibility that you are choosing to take on into your relationships, where you are seeing that this new thing and creating memories and deepening the relationships, because here you are with this experience of not having very close friendships, um, is now something that does mean so much to you in your adulthood, now in your 40s, that now you want to actually make it mean something. And so that's, I don't know. I guess I'm dissecting the whole friend group here.
Yeah,
Maybe each of the friends in your group brings a little different spice to the table.
I think so, for sure. Yeah. We're all we're all very lucky, but I see it, as something that like could make everybody more happy. And everybody that takes the time to cultivate this type of experience, in their lives could stand to be exponentially happier.
Yeah. The thing that comes to mind with that is our social life has a lot to do with ultimately the quality of our life and even our physical health. Um, so yeah, most definitely nurturing the relationships around us is, what do I want to call it? The phrase is on the tip of my tongue. Maybe you could
Mm.
help me fill it in. It's life or death. That's it.
Oh, okay. I mean, yes, yes. I agree. I
maybe
agree.
not
And I
as
think,
maybe not
no,
as
I do.
intensely. I could be intense.
No, I love it because I think about like I just finished watching the latest season of the show Shrinking on Apple TV, and I really love it. It's about like a few therapists and kind of their friend group, and one of them is like old, and his daughter wants to move her to live with him, and he's like, I don't really want to give up my life here. And I've seen that in a lot of shows. You know, it's not something that I particularly know anything about because I'm not at the age where my children are wanting me to come live with them so they can take care of me.
Hmm.
But when we grow old and we have a sense of identity with our friends and like the life we're living, we don't want to give that up. And it almost allows us to be less of a burden potentially on our kids than if we had nothing and no one, and so we needed our kids to do everything for us.
Say that for me again. That was a lot to take in, I think.
So my dad passed away in 2022, and he didn't have that. And so it was like
Mm,
his last many years were just very intense caretaking. And so what I'm saying is like you see on TV shows, but I don't know if that, I imagine it's a real thing where the elderly parent, like if their kid wants them to come live with them, but they have a really well established life, they don't want to give up their life and their sense of identity and their social life and their friends and all that. And so I feel like keeping a good full life can, help us maintain being well supported without overly relying on, say, our kids.
right, right. Yeah, and maybe there are folks who only have one kid, right? So
Hmm.
that is
Yeah.
already, yeah, putting a big expectation on just one child, one person,
Yeah.
I should say, because ideally you're not a child at the time that you are needed so deeply.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That was a heavier turn.
It certainly was. But I think important to talk about, right? I mean, we are here to live life. We're here to grow old, ideally. We're here to create a wonderful experience for ourselves. And that is really the purpose, is because, we are going to die one day. We are going to die. And it's not,
Right.
if we are blessed enough to reach a very old age, then I think also, physically, things are not, hey, we're not going to be kids anymore. Our bodies are not going to be as flexible and energetic. So, yes, life does
Yeah.
change in that way.
Well, and we should all be so blessed to grow old. And I do think that like having a sense of kind of community is on like the blue zones of like the tenets
Hmm.
of the people who live the longest. So, you know, building community is life or death. Like you said, that was just my way of tying it into what you said about it being life or death, because I do believe it
I
is.
see. Yes,
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, it felt intense, but I guess that's why. I mean, because there are plenty of us that do either fear or resist the subject of death. And I
Hmm.
guess maybe I'm being drawn to talk about it because there's also, I believe it is a global organization called Death Cafe. Have you ever heard of this?
No, but I'm
So
fascinated.
it's um a it's like a little gathering amongst people, really just to talk about death. And it sounds, if you're not used to talking about death, then that sounds like that's very weird. Like there's what a bunch of weirdos go and do. I did attend one at one time, and yeah, I mean, I did feel very weird for going, but it was also such a fascinating conversation to be in, to really, like, again, discover that. we're here talking about death because the point is to live.
Yeah. I just like made a note of it because I'm intrigued. As weird as it sounds, I'm intrigued. So I don't want to forget to look it up. Because I mean, you think about the like the five regrets of the dying kind of like article and the things that people regret on their deathbeds. And I have a friend who recently had one of her close friends die from cancer. And she said that each week they would get together and kind of talk about the impending death. And she said it was one of the most beautiful but heartbreaking experiences she's ever had in her life. And she's in her 70s. And so, like, this was just tragic, but eye-opening and spiritual and amazing. And, you
Yeah.
know,
It is reality. Yeah.
yeah.
And so of course it is something that ideally should be talked about with comfort, right?
Hmm.
Rather than like, oh, we don't it's taboo.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's soften things back up again and
I know. I'm like, I don't know how to get out of this topic now.
oh, we took an interesting turn here. Well, anyway, yes, the whole point in that emerging anyway was because we're talking about building community and how absolutely fulfilling it can be. I mean, I'm hearing you talk about going out dancing, and even if you're by yourself but you're still surrounded by all of these people taking part in an activity that you all are obviously enjoying, whether you are there with
Hmm.
somebody or you are there with yourself, you're all engaging in this thing. I'm hearing you talk about like your friends getting planning on going roller skating this summer, right? Did I hear you
Yeah.
correctly?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is what we're living for, and
Yeah.
it is to go and do things that just absolutely light us up. And, whether we're doing it with people that we talk with every single day or whatever frequency, or we're going and doing it with other people that love to do it with us also. Like that's
Hmm.
just what it's all about.
Right. I mean, whether it's your weekly group that gets together or you go play pickleball every 2 weeks, or, it's about finding your things that you love to do and like gathering with others who enjoy that as well. The frequency isn't the most important part. It's
Mm.
just that you're making a conscious effort to include that sense of community in your life.
Do you mind if I maybe this will feel a little bit vulnerable for me to ask you, but so I remember you said that you haven't gone dancing in a while. Do you notice feeling any differently then at this point from not getting your regular dance sessions in?
Yes, I do. It's been something that I've been like journaling and reflecting on because I notice that this is getting into like this is definitely vulnerable, but I've as stress has gone up, I've started to kind of like fall back on eating patterns that aren't really supporting me. And I remember when I started dancing and I was dancing like 3 or 4 nights a week, I remember coming home one night with like this, I should stop and get Taco Bell. And then I was like, actually, I don't really feel like I need anything. And that was like a whole entirely new experience for me to like
Mm,
think about a food and then realize I checked in with my body and it's a no right now.
oh,
And like dance gave me that. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's part of what's not going well for my eating according to how my body would feel better right now. And I need to get back to dancing.
okay. Yes, I mean I wanted to ask because I guess I started to really pick up on how important it is that we are following through on those desires, and I am still trying to keep it connected with that building community also. But
Hmm.
perhaps that's really a byproduct of following our desires. Would you agree? Or
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like you probably know from my work, like following desires is one of the tenets of what I believe allows us to create a really intentional life, like our desires as kind of a roadmap. And I kind of shut down the dance desire for a while there just because I was going through a period where I was feeling a little bit victimized by my life, as we sometimes do. And I let it go. But when I come back to that, when I come back to desires in any way, the it's like if the spiral's kind of going downward, it's almost like you finally can like wedge something. And I think about Finding Nemo and like when he wedges the rock in to like stop the propeller, and then you can get it turning the other way and you can go back up. But like it can be hard to kind of shift a downward trajectory when you're in a funk, and finding a desire and pursuing it, I believe, is like the quickest way to shift that.
Mm. It's a matter of noticing that you are in that funk or just really
Mhm.
ultimately not feeling good, however you want to call it. It's just a like I'm not feeling really as good as I'd like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a funk. I'm saying no to plans that I might otherwise say yes to. And I'm just kind of like holding up in my little world, feeling a little sorry for myself and like, oh, hold on. Let's stop playing this game. This is not serving me or anyone in my life.
I'm thinking about how if I get into funks, I go and look for the things that are going to at least start giving me information or something. I think it's going to be different for everybody, right? I guess I'm hesitating because I'm like, well, this is the way that I do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only way.
Yeah, what do you mean by getting information? Like, what is your version of breaking a funk?
So maybe I'm noticing a certain struggle, right? Okay, so how do I deal with this struggle? And then just kind of like following the thread. So I'll go and maybe look up a book or something that will speak to that struggle, or let me start binging on certain podcasts, really just anything that will start um, you know,
Inspiring.
walking me through that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100% inspiring. Even uplifting. I think
Yeah.
I've personally been on a journey of uplifting my mood because I have gotten in like horrible funks a little bit more often than I would care to admit. And so
Hmm.
and I think something that you said earlier, like you just get tired of the same, like your own personal experience. And so it's like, all
Right.
right, I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like, let's just completely turn that around. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's see, I think it's helpful to see different ways that people get out. And I've found for me, it's about like when I'm in a funk, I'm letting my life get smaller and smaller. And I might just start binging on shows on Netflix or scrolling on my phone, and there's very little movement. And the less I
mm,
move, the less I want to move. And so to get out of it, I have to create movement because that's when energy starts to begin to flow. So it might be taking walks, or one of the practices I learned from Mama Gina, whose pleasure coaching program I went through, is swamping. And that's where we dance through our rage and our grief and put on music that kind of stimulates that and like physically express it. And that's been really extremely helpful in moving what feels like to me a funk is stuck energy.
is it always a go-to for you, or do you notice?
It's a go-to when I get sick enough of my own shit that like I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, fine, I'll do this. 'Cause it can be rather like you're like, it's like a workout that you don't want to do. You're like, ugh,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't want to do that. And then you do it and you feel so much better. But
I think after you do it enough times, which is basically the definition of a habit, right?
yeah,
You begin to notice what the outcome of it is, and so that like ugh feeling gets a little bit like shorter lived.
yeah, Yeah, you're more able to like overcome it and just be like, I know I don't want to do it right now, but I'm going to do it and it'll be good.
Mhm. Yep. I'm kind of picking up on like a process, almost like a little step by step. Maybe I don't know, Nicole, maybe you'll even find something here that you want to create out of this. Because you did mention earlier like you're evolving a lot now. And I don't know, I absolutely love what you created, the audacity to
Thank
take up
you.
space. And I'm kind of seeing something here that would be a fantastic need to serve, and that would be building community, building friendships, really going at it with full intention, starting from your desires. I'm kind of seeing it as a process here that maybe we can lay out so that we can say, yes, this is what we covered today in a nice and concise manner.
Mm. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so I guess it's like the takeaway that we would love to send people off with to build their
100%.
community. And I would say that it starts with their interests, you know? What are the things that they have said, oh, I'm going to do that someday? Or if only my partner would do this thing with me, I really want to try this. And just like start making a desire list of all the things and activities that you want to do. And then start daring yourself, the
Oh,
outrageous act of going to a dance class or going to a paint night or, you know, whatever it may be that calls to you. And then, you know, perhaps making connections. I always like to joke that like I'm the queen of getting girls' phone numbers when I'm out and about because like if we vibe, I want to know you later. And so like ask for numbers. Maybe wait till you see them a couple times because I
yeah,
have
yeah.
had times where I've asked for a number prematurely and it hasn't gone anywhere, even if I did get the number. But you know, it's kind of fun and outrageous to know that you can and start building up from there, setting up various play dates for yourself as a grown woman
Mm,
and see how much fun you can have.
I love that. It's even bringing something else to mind. I know we're wrapping up here, but oh, yes, that's what it was I wanted to say. That like it is skill building. I remember a conversation that you and I had had probably a few years ago, where it was maybe just, you know, getting out there and having conversations with strangers. I think is really all what
Mm.
we were talking about was having conversations with strangers. I think because we were talking about like networking events or something. And that was something that you had said that I think stuck with me is that it's just a skill to start building, like just talking to people.
Yeah, it is. I'm really glad you brought that up because it's like such a lifetime ago that I forget that I was ever this person, but I used to be so shy and I would only make friends at a new job if they approached me. Otherwise, I'd sit quietly at my desk. And I just thought that was who I was until I started to develop the skill. And today at the gym and the sauna, I got a woman's number because, you know, we hit it off. We had a fun time chatting about my socks and our daughters. And so it's like to think there was ever a time that I was a wallflower at parties or that I hated parties because I was afraid I would be like following the person that invited me, like hovering near them because I was so scared to like leave the person I knew. And now
Mm.
I can go to a party where I don't know anybody and make friends. And that skill is so empowering.
Do you have a specific way that you commence conversation?
I think it's always good to start with a compliment. You
Compliment.
know,
Beautiful.
typically, if you don't know them, you're complimenting them on something superficial, but you start with a compliment and see if that allows it to, you know, transcend into a conversation.
I think even when you are giving a compliment to somebody, you are picking up immediately on what their reaction to that is, like all of their energy. Oh my gosh, I'm just imagining
Mhm.
all of the reactions that you could get from somebody like, "Oh, I love your shoes." Mm, thanks.
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, I love your shoes." "Thanks, I got them from." Like
Right. I got them
it
on
could be so different.
sale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
for
so
sure.
much that you could gather just from that one reaction.
Hmm.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. I am just so grateful that we had this conversation because I think that this
Me
was
too.
packed with value. And like you said, like I think there are more people out there who struggle with friendship, and maybe it's um like around the subject of dance, we're just kind of expected to dance, and it's okay to make fun of people for dancing, even though like we never even really learned how. And so the same I think
Yeah.
could be said for friendship as well. We feel like we should be really great at making friends. We should have so many friends. We should be living Friends, the
Hmm.
the TV show,
Right.
right?
Like it should just be natural. And if you don't have friends, what's wrong with you? But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's just a matter of we just haven't learned how yet. And let there be no shame in that because, again,
Yeah.
this is life. We're all here learning these unique lessons for ourselves. And maybe building friendships is one of them. And that is okay.
Yeah. For sure.
I
Thank you,
so
Alyssa.
appreciate you for sharing that with me because I think that that can be a vulnerable topic for so many of us. So I
Mm.
am very grateful that you felt called to talk on that one.
Well, thank you. Yay. Yeah. It's a near and dear topic to my heart.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks so much, Alyssa.
And that wraps up my conversation with Nicole. Now, originally at the end of this episode, Nicole shared her website, but since we recorded, she has actually made some exciting updates to how she shares her work. So I wanted to pop in here to make sure you have all the right links. You can now find Nicole sharing her wisdom on Substack, YouTube, and Insight Timer. But I want to take a second to specifically highlight a mini course she offers on Insight Timer for premium subscribers called The Audacity to Take Up Space. During our chat, Nicole mentioned this is exactly where you should start if you are someone who tends to over apologize or if you struggle to let yourself truly take up space in your own life. And I fully support her on that, because I purchased this course myself and I can't say enough how much I love it. Moving into my 7th year as an entrepreneur and my 3rd year in real estate, it became blatantly obvious to me that I was still afraid to take up space in certain scenarios. I've been breaking through so many limiting beliefs over the past year, and this course arrived at the absolute perfect time. In fact, I continue to listen to it as it is the perfect support for me as I try new things outside of my comfort zone. This podcast. I really hope we can share this with as many women as possible who need to hear it too. I've got all the updated links to Nicole's Substack, YouTube, and her Insight Timer right in the show notes for you. Please, please, please go check out her amazing work. You will be so glad you did. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today in this part of the world. Creating a home and a life you love is a continuous practice, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. If today's episode gave you a little bit of inspiration or a practical takeaway for your own space, please take a moment to hit that follow button and leave a quick review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Take care of your space, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.